So 4.3 is properties of logs, and we're going to learn how to expand and condense them. And then eventually what will happen is we'll learn to condense only. Okay, so expansion is not on the final exam. It's just helping you understand the properties. Okay, so the expansion is not typically on the exam. Your condensing is going to be used to solve. All right. So since logs are inverses of exponentials, the properties of logs can be derived from the properties of exponents. So when expanding logs, we want to have multiple logs being added or subtracted from each other. And when condensing, we only want one log on the end. All right. Product property, the log of a product or multiplication is the same as, I can't even see what this is, the sum of the logs. So multiply is the same as add. You can flip it back and forth, okay? So we have log base 3 of 4 times 5. This is the one where we're going to expand just to work on the properties, but what you need to understand is how to put them together. So this is good if we're trying to solve like it is. We don't want to do anything to it. But because we're expanding it out, we're going to look at it. 4 and 5 are being multiplied together. So we can change it from a single log to log base 3 of 4. Multiply is the same as add. Log base 3 of 5. So instead of having one log, we're going to have multiple logs. So same thing on the next one where it says you try, we have x times y times z. So there's 3 different variables there. So there's going to be 3 different logs on the end. So the first one is going to be log x. Multiply is the same as add. It'll be log y. And then add log z. Right. So again, this part right here is the part that you're going to be doing more of. So when you're trying to solve logs, this is the one that you need to focus on. We can't have more than one log on one side. So the way that we put them together is we write it just as one log, and whatever your base is, I can't really see this. I think it's a 6. So we're going to hope that it's a 6. You're going to only write that one time. And then you're going to look at what's happening. So in each of these, see how it's plus? Plus is the same as multiply. So we're going to take 10 and multiply it to x and multiply it to 7. And I just want you to leave it like this for right now. Okay, just leave it like this. Can you put it together? Absolutely. You can have it as 70x. That is perfectly fine. And you'll want to do that. I just want you to see the property right now. Okay. All right, so same thing on the next one. It looks like log base 4. So we're just going to write one of those. We see pluses in between, so we can change that to multiply. X, M, and 9. So X, M, and 9. And we're just going to leave it like that. All right, so multiply and add are interchangeable. If you're trying to expand it, you're going to add them. If you're trying to you're trying to condense it, you're going to end up multiplying them. All right, so the quotient property, if the log of a quotient is the same as the subtraction of the logs. So divide is the same thing as subtract. Right. So when we expand, remember we want multiple logs. So whatever this is, again, it looks like log 4. You're going to put what's on top first of x. It says divide, so we're going to change it to a subtract. And we're going to make another log 4 and whatever's on the bottom, which is y. So the next one is log base 7. So we're going to write that first. You write the top number and then subtract the second log base 7 at the bottom. And again, a lot of times they don't worry about that. What they want you to be able to do is put it back together. So right here, I have a subtraction in between. Instead of having 2 log base 4s, I'm going to have 1. Whatever comes first goes on the top, so 10 goes on the top. And whatever second goes on the bottom, just like that. So the next one, I can't really tell what that number is. We're going to assume that it's a 2. Let's say that that's a 2, log base 2. I can't see it. We have an X, and then we have an M. So the X goes on the top, the M goes on the bottom. All right, I don't like the way that this is written, so I'm going to tell you your exponent goes from front to back. And I'll show you that real quick. This one's the easy one. So I don't have to deal with exponents because I don't really like exponents. Like I don't want to take the 4th root or the 5th root or the 6th root, anything like that. I can take this 4 and just move it to the front. So this turns into 4 log base 5 of x. So the 4 just goes to the front, becomes what you multiply by. So on the next one, we're going to move the 1/3 to the front because I don't know how to work with the 1/3 power. I do, but we don't like to. And then just log base 8 of x. So then if there's a number in front, we can take it to the back. So we can change it from log base 12, x to the 5th. Same thing on the other one. I think this is 1/4. We're going to make it 1/4. So it would be log base 9 of x to the 1/4. And so those are your properties. So what you need to remember, multiply equals add, divide equals subtract, and your power moves. Okay, and again, moves from front to back. So these are the 3 things that you need to get out of this. Once you start solving them, it becomes a lot easier. Okay, so this looks kind of weird because you're not doing anything with it, you're just rewriting. All right, I'm gonna flip it over. All right, I'm going to start with number 2 because number 1 looks really hard. It's not, but it looks really hard, so I'm going to knock it out for a minute. Let's look at number 2. You can see that we're multiplying x squared and y to the 6th. So if I want to expand it, remember multiply is the same thing as add. And expand means make more logs. Okay, we want multiple logs. They're all going to be the same base, and it's whatever the base the problem is. So log base 7, we're going to start with x squared. And then since it's multiply, we're going to add it. Log base 7 of y to the 6th. And then if they want you to expand it more, check for that answer first. But then remember your power can move from front to back. So this one is going to end up being, and I'm going to write it at the top up here because I forgot about it. 2 log 7 of x plus 6 log 7 of y. All right, so we'll go to number 4. We can see that it's multiplied 7 times 5 times 12 squared. We're going to expand it, so we're going to make multiple logs. So my first log is log base 6 of 7. Instead of multiply, we're going to add. It's going to stay the same, log base 6 of the next number, which is 5, plus log base 6 of 12 squared. The only other thing we can do is that power can move to the front. So all of these stay the same, log base 6 of 7, log base 6 of 5, but then we can move the 2 to the front to give us 2 log 6, 12. We're going to hit number 3 really quick, and then I'll go back to number 1. Okay, we're going to hit number 3 really quick, and then I'll go back to 1. All right. So number 3 is a divide. Remember that divide is the same thing as subtract. So we're going to write log 7 of the top, which is 8 to the 4th. And then because it's divide, we're going to write a subtract. Log base 7 of 3 to the 5th. What else can I do? Move the powers to the front. So 4 log base 7 of 8 minus 5 log base 7 of 3. All right. So here's why this one's a little bit weird. You need to remember from math 1, possibly some math 2, that if we have the cube root of x, it's the same thing as x to the 1/3. Okay. If you have the cube root of x squared, you got to think about it this way. The power is on top. If you think about a CEO, they live in the penthouse, which is the top of the skyscraper. This is the cube root, so roots go on the bottom. So we need to be able to write fractional powers, okay? So one more time, if I gave you the 4th root of a to the 3rd, the power goes on top, the root on the bottom, all right? So just reminding you how to rewrite that. So this is actually log base 6 of z. X is under the cube root, so it's the 1/3 power, and y is under the cube root, so it's also the 1/3 power. So then it looks a little bit different, okay? Makes it a little bit easier. You know that we're multiplying, so we're going to add them, and we're multiplying 3 things, so we're going to add 3 things. So log base 6 of z, we're going to add. Another log base 6, but this time of x to the 1/3. And then the last one is going to be log base 6 of y to the 1/3. What is the last thing that I need to do? Move the power to the front. Okay. Log base 6 of z was fine. 1/3 log base 6 of x plus 1/3 log base 6 of y. Now, one more thing that I want to do for you. This is fine for me, but it is not what you will see on your multiple choice. Okay, it is not what you'll see on your multiple choice. Remember that we can write 1/3 x as x over 3. You guys know what I'm talking about? So if we had 1/2 x, we could write it as x over 2. So what they'll do on your multiple choice here, I'm going to write it down here so you guys can see it. You don't have to write, I mean, I want you to write it down, but it's not like you have to put it this way. So if you were just doing it for me, this was fine. But I want you to know what multiple choice is going to look like. Log base 6 of z, they'll rewrite it like this. Log base 6 of x over 3 plus log base 6 of y over 3. This is what it'll look like on multiple choice. And that's the only place that I could find to fit it in since I wrote everything else. Okay, so that does not go with this problem. This goes with that problem. All right, so I just want you to know what it looks like. You guys see number 8, how they put the 3 on the bottom? that's going to be 1/3 log base 6 of 11. Okay, so we're going to change that in just a minute. So this is what you're going to see instead of seeing it written like this. All right. So 5, 6, 7, 8, those are the ones that you really need to know. And then we're going to solve them on 9, 10, 11, and 12. So we always condense when we solve. We never expand. Okay, so always condense when you solve. So here, the first thing that you want to look for are numbers in front. Then you're going to look for add or subtract. Okay, so numbers in front and then add or subtract. So if we look at both of these, there are numbers in front and we take those to the power in the back. So we're going to change it to log base 2 of A to the 16th plus log base 2 of B to the 4th. A little bigger so you guys can see it. Okay. And then the last thing we're going to look for is that it has a plus. Plus is the same thing as multiply, right? So we're going to write it as 1 and we're going to multiply these two. So 1 log base 2, we're multiplying A to the 16th and B to the 4th. Now, when you solve, you'll only have one variable. You won't have two, okay? So this is just pushing it together. When you solve, you're only going to have one variable. So number 6, I see numbers in front, so that's what I want to take care of first. So I get log base 7 of 3 to the 12th plus log base 7 of 10 to the 6th. And then I'll look for add or subtract. This one is an add, so I'm multiplying these two together. Write it as 1 log base 7. I have 3 to the 12th times 10 to the 6th. And you can leave it just like this. Number 7 is a subtract. Do the same thing, numbers in front, move to the back. So we're going to have log base 4 of u to the 4th minus log base 4 of v to the 4th. We have a minus. Minus is the same thing as divide, so we're going to divide these two. So 1 log base 4. U to the 4th is going to be on the top, v to the 4th on the bottom. And then in the last one, remember I told you how to rewrite this. So we're going to start by rewriting that right there as 1/3 log base 6 of 11. Now it looks just like the other ones that we've done, log base 6 of 11. Numbers in front, we're going to move. So we get log base 6 of 7 plus log base 6 of 11 to the 1/3. And then because we have add, we're going to put it together by multiplying it. Log base 6 of 7 and then 11 to the 1/3. But they won't leave it as the 1/3 power. What will they write it as? What did I tell you the 1/3 power was? What was the 1/3 power? What is this? Cube root. So they'll change it to the cube root of 11. So this would be your final answer. All right, just a couple more. We're going to solve these equations. The first thing that you're going to do is push them together. So condense them. How do we condense them? We're just looking at this side right here for just a second because it has the 2 logs. Remember from last week, I want 1 log on one side, 1 on the other, so I can mark them out, okay? If I don't, if I only have one log completely, I'm doing left, right, middle. So we're going back to things that we did last week. We just got to push them together first. I don't have any numbers in front, so they're good to go. So how do I put a plus together? I'm going to multiply them. Okay, so multiply them. Log base 8. I'm going to multiply 4x squared times 4 equals log base 8 of 36. All right, so step 2 depends on how many logs you have, okay? I have one on one side, one on the other, so I can mark them out. Okay, they cancel each other out. And then what I'm left with is my equation. So 4 times 4 is 16x squared equals 36. We're going to square root. I'm sorry, we're going to divide by 16 and then square root. If you're not sure, keep this in fraction form, please. You can do math enter to reduce it. These give you really, really nice fractions. When we square root a fraction, we're actually square rooting the top and the bottom. And remember, I'm always going to have a positive and a negative. What's the square root of 9? 3. What's the square root of 4? 2. And then I need to make sure that they work in the problem. The only x that I have is right here. And since I'm squaring it, not adding or subtracting, that negative is going to cancel out. Both of these are going to work. Okay. Both of those are going to work. Remember, I do not want a negative or a 0 in that log. All right, check out the next one. You're going to condense. There's no numbers in front, but I see a subtract. So what is the same as subtract? Divide. So I'm going to rewrite it as 1 log base 7. X plus 4 is going to go on top. 9 is going to go on bottom, and it's equal to 1. So again, the second step depends on how many logs you have. I don't have one on one side, one on the other, so I can't cancel it out. So remember, the way that I work this one is those 3 magic words, left, right, middle. What's your leftmost number? What's your rightmost number? 1 becomes the power, and it's equal to the middle, and we're just going to rewrite it all down. To solve this, make this one a fraction and cross multiply. So 7 times 9 is 63. 1 times x is x. 1 times 4 is 4. And then finish out your equation. Minus 4. And we get 59 equals x. Plug it in to make sure it doesn't give you a 0 or a negative. 59 plus 4 does not give you a 0 or a negative. So therefore, you are done. So again, watch that. 1 log on one side, like this one. 1 on the other, we're going to mark out. On this one, we only have 1 log, so we do left, right, middle. Okay. All right. That'll work for the rest of the notes, okay? So watch that every single time. All right, number 11. I see a minus between. I don't have any numbers in front, so minus is the same thing as divide. So I'm going to have 1 log base 8. 6 is going to be on the top. X minus 4 is going to be on the bottom. Equals log base 8 of 29. What do I do on this one? Cross out the logs. 1 on one side, 1 on the other. We can mark it up. And then we're solving this the same exact way that we solved the last one, because we're going to put 29 over 1 and cross multiply. 6 times 1 is 6. 29 times x is 29x. And then 29 times 4, again, don't feel bad if you got to use your calculator, is 116. Okay, use your calculator all you want to. Why is it negative 116? It's times negative 4. I just didn't do that in my calculator. You're going to add 116 to solve. You get 122. Divide that by 29. Is it okay to get a decimal? Yeah. And I just rounded it 2 decimal places, and that is it. If I plug it back in, 4.21 minus 4 is still a positive 0.21, so we're okay with that. Last one. There's no numbers in front, but there is a minus. So to put it together, 5x squared is going to go on the top, 5 is going to go on the bottom, set equal to 4. How do I work this one? Left, right, middle. There's only one log, so I need to do left, right, middle. Your left is 7. Your right is 4. Your middle is 5x squared over 5. We have it over 1. You can simplify if you want to, that's fine, but like I'm talking about this 5 over 5. If you want to simplify, that's fine, but you don't have to because it'll work itself out. So we're going to cross multiply. 7 to the 4th times 5 is 12,005. And then you have equals 5x squared. Divide this by 5. You get 2401 equals x squared. We got to get rid of the square, so I'm going to square root. Remember, there are 2 answers, a positive and a negative 49. Since we have x squared, when I square a negative, it becomes positive. So both of these will work. Both of them will work. Any questions? All right, so I opened up your quiz for today. Trying to see if there's anything crazy I think you've done. Everything on there. If you look at 9 and 10, see how they have the 2's on the bottom. Remember, those are 1/2. Let's look at number 5 for a minute. Just look at number 5 for a minute. All right. So if we're trying to expand, remember the first thing we look for are powers that we can move to the front. So we're going to move this to the front. And then we have multiply, which is the same as add. You got to keep that 4 with both of those. And then because this one also has a power, we're going to move it to the front. So you're going to multiply those together. So you would have 3 times 4 log 8x, 4 log 8y. 3 times 4 is 12 log 8x plus 4 log 8y. So 5 should be A. I just wanted to show you that one because we didn't have one where we had 2 powers moved. Okay. I think everything else is okay. Number 2 is exactly like number 5. So watch number 2 as well. All right. Any questions? Everybody good? All right. So I'm going to stop sharing and stop recording.